Welcome, everybody. Just making sure I got audio on for both of us because that would be embarrassing if I didn't. It appears that I
Yeah,
do.
I'd just be like, wah, 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 wah. Nothing happening.
But see, then I would at least do it like the teacher from the Peanuts, right? Womp, womp,
Wah, wah, wah,
womp,
wah, wah, wah. Wah,
womp.
wah, wah, wah.
Jokes that like
Wah.
two people in the audience will ever understand.
We're dating ourselves here, Grant.
Yeah, okay. The 30-year-olds in the here are dating themselves. Uh, well, I guess we should jump right into it. I'm Grant. We got Tad with us. This is Making
Yes,
Awesome
sir.
number 5. Tad, introduce yourself. It's been a while since you've been on, so tell the people who you are, what you do.
Sure. I am the lead engineer for 3D Musketeers. And I'm not around as much as I used to be, but trying to bring that back up. Got to pump those numbers up.
That's
So,
right. Our
yeah.
sales are rookie numbers. We got to pump those numbers up.
Yeah. So, yes, I'm with you today.
Yeah, we're going to be talking all about 3D printing in industry. And this one's interesting because we're effectively going to tell you the type of clientele that we work with. And this is going to serve two purposes, right? The first purpose is for us to kind of talk about the needs and what we serve here as 3DM, but two, allow me to cut it up later on and use it for marketing on their specific web pages that we are building out on the 3D Musketeers website.
Exactly.
There's always another thing. Duff gives us a little wave. Don't know who they are, but we're going to say, hey, Duff.
Welcome to the podcast, live stream, etc.
Yeah, so we actually live stream the podcast because why would we do anything else? Because that's what smart people do, is live stream their podcast. But we do it every single Saturday. For now, I might be changing the time and day, but we'll see. And we interact with you guys. So if you are listening to us audio only after the fact and you want to come hang out with us live, make sure you do. We have a YouTube channel and we stream on Twitch as well, although I'm mostly watching the YouTube channel. But we figured we don't edit these. It's a lot more fun where we can talk to people as things are happening, go back and forth on comments, explain things more if needed. It's fun that way. We have Zombie5RE who's hanging out. I just got off an interview with him. They applied to work with us. And say, I'm going to give out a little bit of the secret stuff. I am thoroughly impressed, given the age of this person, the work that they were producing. It did not hit me until I got them on video of how young they were. But good Lord, they're talented. But that's kind of the cool thing about the YouTube channel. We're able to reach people worldwide. This individual's in the UK, which is pretty darn cool. Duff said, just started following on YouTube recently. Started following the podcast yesterday. Thanks for that. We appreciate your support. We did just cross 2,000 subscribers this week, so currently it is October 9th of 2021 as we are recording, and we just crossed 2,000 subs on Tuesday, which is pretty damn cool. I'm excited for that. We got Jimmy hanging out. He says, hey guys, we have Bob. Hi, Bob. I love Bob, and I'm sure Jordan will come by at some point too. They like to give me a hard time, but for all the right reasons. They are the guys that keep me honest and keep me moving in the right direction. So, Maker Viking says, "Hey." Ryan76 says, "What up, all?" We got some of our regulars. I'm excited. So let's jump right into the topic. We're going to be talking again about 3D printing in industry. And, of course, the widest industry that most people know of for 3D printing is rockets, right? SpaceX has been kind of huge recently, and they haven't lost a rocket in how long? It's been a minute since
it's
SpaceX
been a long time now since any have crashed.
And while we used to play in aerospace, because we live in Florida and we're on the space corridor, which is the I-4 corridor here in Florida, everybody else wants to play in that. And honestly, I'm not willing to just keep cutting down for the sole purpose of being able to say we worked for SpaceX. We did that a long time ago. But yes, Bob and Jordan are great at cracking. Who's Duff? I must know Duff. Either way. So we got out of aerospace a couple of years back. I think, Tad, you worked on a couple of those aerospace projects with us.
I believe I did. Yeah. And that was like that kind of fizzled out right at the beginning of the pandemic.
It did, unfortunately. Yeah. Nothing like a global virus to shut down aerospace.
This gets in the way of all kinds of stuff.
That's all right. You know, it kind of is what it is. They always tell you in business, don't put your eggs in one basket. And I didn't realize that my basket was going to be having a business that could not survive a global virus. But I think a lot of businesses faltered as well.
Yeah.
My goal currently are to really unlock these new markets that we're playing after, because we've done parts in them previously, and now it's time for us to get back into those industries and take them seriously. So we're going to be talking about 3 kind of specific industries today. We'll be watching the chat as well, so if you guys have any other industries you want us to talk about, we're happy to do so as well. But the 3 main industries we're going to be discussing are inventing, personal injury, so that's crash reconstruction and medical. Those all kind of are in the same one.
Mm-hmm.
And then food. Did I say food packaging or did I say inventing first?
You didn't get to food packaging.
Good.
Yet.
Food packaging is the third. I have a list. Wanted to make sure I didn't do it in the wrong direction. And Tad, you have had experience working not only with us, but with tons of others as well in all of, well, maybe not food packaging, but I know you've had a lot of experience working with inventors. That's actually how we met. We met because an inventor mutually screwed us both. But that's
that was a bit of a fiasco, but here we are.
Look, thankfully none of us had a lot there. And that's great because it allowed us to meet. And I think with every bad situation, you can always learn something valuable out of it. And, you know, whether it's a big virus that takes over the world for a little bit, or it's a client where we were all really excited and then the job just fell through, because that would have been a really cool job.
It would have been.
You know, there's always some awesome learning experiences that we can
get. There's, you know, some people there's just no pleasing. So
yeah, and I think that's a good segue to move right into the inventing side of it, because inventors pose some interesting problems and solutions, right? I think one of the biggest things that we love about inventors is that, 1, every single one of them is different. But then 2,
a lot of variety.
It's the ideas. The ideas are as diverse as the people that have them. And, you know, with a lot of areas for business, you've got a target market, right? Whether they're, you know what demographic they are, what age they are, you know kind of where they live geographically. Do they have kids? How old are those kids going to be? Statistically speaking, you can boil it down to your customer profile and persona. Inventors don't fit that realm. They don't really follow any guidelines, right? I mean, we've seen more male inventors than female, but now when we look at our current client base, they're mostly female inventors. So it does definitely wax and wane. And we've worked on parts, everything from food products that end up on the shelves at Walmart. We have a product that finally hit shelves at Walmart, to products that don't make it really off the chopping block. And when we look at the inventors, I guess from your perspective, Tad, what are some of your favorite experiences? Oh, we have another guest.
Replace the substitute.
Replace the substitute. Yeah. What are some of your favorite moments of working with inventors? Like what motivates you there?
I'm trying to think. Am I allowed to to like speak to specific projects.
We can speak to specific projects as long as we don't talk about the name of the project, the client,
Yeah.
or very generalized things. Because of course we do accept non-disclosures. We do not accept outside non-disclosures. We have our own mutual non-disclosures. If you are an inventor that wants to work with us, we will provide you with one. Do not send us one. I will not sign it.
Yeah. Let's see. I think one of my favorites is the. Do you remember the garlic chopper thing?
Yes.
That thing was amazing.
That one was a really cool product. That was a product that we had to do a lot of research on, because it was an industry that you and I had never touched before, which is, and for those that don't know, anything that involves like human touching it, especially when it involves food, is regulated incredibly heavily. And there are apparently some relatively easy ways around it, but I know, of course, it will vary for each thing. That product, we had to step back and say, okay, we don't necessarily know the right rules and regulations, so let's take some time and learn it. And the cool thing is the client didn't know it either. So we all kind of went down this path together of learning. And as we learned, their product kind of morphed to become easier to bypass everything. And I believe that product is in production right now, but I think that's the one bummer about inventors is when they leave us, when they go...
They usually don't check in.
They don't check in, and I really want to know. But we're always so worried to check in because sometimes when they leave, nothing happens. And people don't like being reminded of something that didn't get off the ground or they didn't like. And motivation is always the toughest thing for inventors. Because, like... You've got this baby, you really want to see it happen, you want to see it grow, but then if it doesn't, you kind of sit there and wonder what went wrong. And so 3DM, we've kind of adopted this principle of we will be blatantly honest with you to a point where you may not like us.
Radical transparency.
It is, that's a nice word.
I think we've talked about that before.
Have we talked about radical transparency?
Yes.
That's a nice word. I always say
because it cuts through all the bullshit, you know.
Yes, we cuss here, okay? We don't bleep ourselves. There are no editors. But yes, it does. It cuts through all the bullshit because I firmly believe that an ounce of prevention is worth what the hell is it? Where it's like an ounce in the beginning is worth a pound, post-production, right?
Yeah.
Someone in the comments will tell me, I'm sure. But I do firmly believe that having, someone there to either one, be blatantly and, purposefully honest with you, and then another person to play a very difficult devil's advocate, so kind of answers will help you go through and decide, are you really ready? I think an issue that we have with some inventors that have come through, ones that it doesn't work out or something like that, is they're just not ready and we have to be able to better quiz them. And I think unfortunately it's not something we should have to do, but we do often do it because we want to make sure that everybody is ready for that commitment, because ultimately there's a pretty substantial financial commitment. Can you talk to that financial commitment a little bit?
Yeah, well, like we've discussed in previous episodes, a lot of times people will choose to have parts like injection molded, right? So injection molding is expensive in the form of tooling, right? You're not paying very much per piece usually. It's on the order of cents to dollars for whatever plastic part you need, but you got to pay tens of thousands usually, depending on the size, for the mold tooling itself.
Right.
That's where your big expenditure comes, but you usually make that back over a certain number of
your break
parts.
Even point is
and you can calculate that. Something like that.
It always depends on the complexity of the mold. And we had someone reach out to us via Reddit
Mm-hmm.
They saw me posting a lot on like the manufacturing subreddits because I like to help people there, right?
Yeah.
They sent me a quote they got from Proto Labs for 3D printing. Tad, it was $900. I look at the part.
Yeah.
It's a wedge shape, and there's no NDA on
Very
it, but I don't want to give
pretty
anything away.
simple, yeah.
It's a wedge shape. It's like 5 inches by like 2.5 inches thick. Proto Labs wanted to do it solid out of resin. No wonder it's so expensive. That's not the right technology to do this out of.
No.
And they're like, I don't understand why 3D printing is so expensive. Huh?
Is it like a doorstop or like chocks or something? What?
I don't want to talk too much into the use of it. Just more out of the respect of we haven't gotten that far yet. But I looked at the part. You could make
a shell out of 2 pieces or something. It'd be really.
I looked at the part. We can 3D print an FDM to handle the forces they need for like $160. And when you go to companies like Proto Labs, now I'm not knocking Proto Labs in general. I think they have a great company, but Proto Labs is automated. There's a big difference between automation and someone says, here, give me a quote. The program's gonna look at it and say, yeah, this is probably fine. We can do it in this versus what is the best material.
It's not optimized.
Now the cool thing about Proto Labs is you can use that same file and get a quote for injection molding. They got a mold quote for $9,000, and that was a massive sticker shock. They said, we don't have any of these made yet. We can't spend $9,000 to get it done. And I'm like, you're right. You can't. Yeah. So what is your in-between solution? They said, well, 3D printing would work, but at $900 a piece, there wasn't any margin when you hit $100. And I presume they're going to come back to me and say, yep, your price is much less, but it is still very expensive. So I offered them the idea of doing casting. It's like resin casting, right? Where you cast it manually, whether that's with resin, urethane, whatever, and that also lets them play with durometers if they wanted to use something with a different flexure to it. And we find that, and Zombie5RE says it perfectly, yeah, there's way too much misinformation about 3D printing's benefits and downsides out there. And it's probably in due course that we redo that episode, the benefits and downsides to 3D printing. So that we'll have to add that to the queue. But, that inventor was very much upset at the industry because of one particular experience. And I say, look, you might come to us and not have a good experience, right? We are not perfect for every inventor. Like if you are a textile inventor, let's say it's an article of clothing, that's not a 3D printing thing. That might be a CAD thing. We can definitely help you out getting the CAD done for it. But 3D printing is not the right move for that. We can get you in contact with the right people. And we firmly believe that every opportunity that doesn't go as planned is a great opportunity for us to grow our network of companies that we work with. Like for clothing, Pakistan. Pakistan is one of the best places to go for clothing these days if you want to stay out of China. If you want to keep it in the United States, there are options as well, of course. But, understanding what your product needs is important. And, Tad, we have a wide range of engineers, of course. Your engineering is, I think, the most... I'm trying to think. So Brent came back the other day.
Good.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him since like April or May.
I was kind of worried about him.
We were all worried about him, so we're glad that Brent is back in much better health. But I think up until Brent came back, you were the most senior engineer that we have.
Sure.
And that means that, our experience, you have a ton of experience, but you are young ultimately. And
true.
I believe
not, time on earth, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I believe that has a lot of value to it because you didn't grow up with a Bridgeport running things manually to try to like cut a circle or something, right?
I've done that though.
That's fair, right?
I drew it in Sharpie and had to go,
I tried doing
XY,
that once.
XY, XY. It looked like shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It looks
It looked
like
awful.
it's a really low poly circle. It might be 4
Yeah.
poly, but don't worry.
It's a little jagged, but the CNC machine was booked, so I had no other choice.
Did you wait until the last minute?
No, somebody broke it.
Oh, that's why
So
we can't
everything
have
was
nice things.
Yeah, so the amount of bookings that were left for the semester were pretty slim pickings.
Oh, that's a bummer. That's a bummer. Yeah, I believe that your experience in both DFM and DFAM really, you to me are that engineer that we're looking for constantly. Because you've done it the hard way, you've done it the easy way, and then you've done it the 3D printing way, and you can look at something and say, okay, for 3D printing, draft angles are not that big of a deal. But if we know for a fact that they have the means, if we know they have the means to do injection molding, and that's what they want to do, then we design it like that from the get-go.
Yeah, there's no reason to do it one way. Say, oh yeah, this is good. And then when you're wanting to transition from your prototype to the final, have to change things. It's just design it the same way all the way through.
Duff says what? No nope, not here. Thank
no punch
God.
cards. No.
I've used a punch card system once, and it was purely to show how good they were for when they came out, but how bad they are for today's standards. And of course they're going to be bad by today's standards. Yeah, punch card machines are, I mean, amazing mathematics that went in by just holes in a piece of paper.
For sure.
And when we look at the inventing side of everything, one of the key points to me is be open and willing to talk about your product openly. I think one of the biggest frustrations that we have with new inventors is that they want that NDA first. And realistically,
it limits what we can do for you.
Right. If we can't help you and we've now signed an NDA, without your written approval, I can't talk to anybody about what it is that you do to see if they can help you.
Exactly. It makes things just needlessly constrained.
Bob says that's where you punch the guy holding the cards, right? Yes. That's where you punch the guy holding the cards. Yes. But we've just kind of gotten used to saying, look, we're not going to sign an NDA until you have like a 15-minute meeting. And that seems to kind of weed out the people that firmly believe that a patent is immediately necessary. Now, we've talked about patents before, Tad. Do you want to talk about your thoughts around patents real quick regarding inventors?
Yeah, and I mean, this is just sort of a summary of what, we've had 2 attorneys on, I believe, in the past, and they do a much better job speaking to that. But so the layman's way of describing it, I would say, is you think, I've got this idea, I've got to protect it, I need to get a patent. No. Slow your roll. Patents are for further down the line, like when you're ready to go to market. You basically don't need the patent until you've at least sold something and generated some buzz. Then you have it ready, but you don't submit it or anything. Because what a patent will do is sort of tip your hand. All of the details of the idea become public and recorded. So you got to be ready to roll at that point. You got to actually have some sales and prove that you have something that is worth protecting. Not that your idea isn't great. It's just you want to validate that first.
If I could card to an episode in the live stream, we'd be carding to, I think that was a solo episode where I talked about patents. Maybe that was the one I had Justin on. One of the last 2 I did a solo, and it reminded me of why I don't do solo podcasts, because I tangent so badly. But it was all about that, yes, you need sales, and if your main goal is to not produce the end product and you want to just sell the idea, okay, you need the patent. But what you also need is the ability to defend the patent. The U.S. Patent and Trademark Office will grant you a patent all day, but your patent can be invalidated if you cannot actively and accurately defend it.
Right.
And like Tad said, as soon as you file that patent, your art is public. Anybody that wants to copy you, that has more money than you, more resources than you, maybe they are an injection molding shop and want to tool up faster than you could, can beat you to market. And that's not to scare people. We don't want to scare people about this. The goal,
and patents are still important, just on a much longer time scale.
Exactly. And when it comes to what 3DM can do, we say come to us when you want to make something happen. You don't need to have a patent. We got patent attorneys that we work with. We will hook you up with the right people that know their shit, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's we're not going to get a patent. We're not going to put you in front of a patent attorney that's going to say, "Here, give me 10 grand, middle fingers to you. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't." We got people that are going to walk you through and say, "All right, how much money do you actually want to spend on this? We can teach you how to do certain things. We can tell you what you can do on your own, or we can do it all for you. You decide how you want to do it." But we always say provisionals are cheap. They're easy. Nobody looks at them unless there's a litigation thing. So do a provisional for sure. And that gives you a patent pending status, which is generally good enough to keep most companies at bay. But if you are looking to design a product that you have no intention of producing and you want to sell it to somebody, they're not going to buy your idea. They are going to buy the actual patent. And whether they choose to produce it or they choose to shelve it and let it
just
rot
sit on it
for the next 20 years, that is their prerogative, not yours. And so when people say, "Oh, I want the Mr. Wonderful deal, a little bit of cash up front and a royalty," you better be darn certain the company's not going to shelve your idea and pay you next to nothing for it. Because sometimes that cash up front, time value of money being what it is, might be more valuable.
Not worth it.
Yeah, and inventing is something that should not be scary. We can hold your hand through the whole process. You don't have to come in knowing everything, but understand there is an hourly rate to work with us. We can hold your hand. It's going to cost you more money, but we can help guide you through that valley of shadow and death where so many inventors fall to the wayside or succumb to their own unfortunate paranoia. I am always worried that talking about what we do is going to get our ideas stolen. And you know what? It might. But I want to do it, one, because I believe it'll be valuable to me to get it out there, but two, valuable because I can cut it up and put it on the website. So multi-value.
Exactly.
Inventors are kind of one of those give me for 3D printing. So like, it's pretty simple. Leave us alone where we are geographically and you can play with inventors all day, right?
Yeah.
Eventually we will move to nationwide, but right now we're sticking local because there's plenty of business local. And if you say there are no inventors around me, you're clearly not looking in the right spaces, right?
Exactly.
And for those that are wondering, like, I am not an engineer. I do not have engineering degrees. I am, however, on the executive board of the Tampa Bay Inventors Council. I speak there regularly, at least once a quarter, talking all about this same basic thing of how to get those ideas out of your head and into your hands, right? Head to hands, art to part. That's our kind of deal, which I guess should lead me perfectly into this segue to our sponsor, 3D Musketeers. If you are an inventor and want to get your ideas out of your head and into your hands with full art to part, rapid prototyping, and product development, you can reach out to us at 3D Musketeers. And if you want to support these efforts directly, we have a Patreon. Go check it out. Literally, tiers start as low as $1, and if you're feeling extra spicy, we have the Musketeer, which is $420.69. To fulfill every meme dream that is out there, turn those memes into dreams with 3D Musketeers. Sponsor segues. And hey, there's a bunch of people, and we only got a few likes, so please go ahead and like the streams as well. We appreciate your support in all of that as well. I think we can shift gears, though. Inventors are it is a tough bag because everyone brings different baggage to the table. But I think we've done enough of them that we kind of have an idea of what is needed. And there's a booking link right on our website where you can book time. You don't even have to send an email. You can book time directly. It's like a 15-minute meeting or a 25-minute meeting I think I pushed up to now, where you can meet directly with me, talk about your idea, and we decide if it's a right move or not. Because if it's not a right move, I don't want to waste your time, and I certainly don't want to waste mine. Because my time costs you money. That first meeting, absolutely free. We do not charge for that. So, big ups there.
Something to consider.
Yeah. I think that's a low to zero risk, proposition, right? You are risking your time, and you are risking being vulnerable to somebody that you don't know. And if you don't know me by now, like, come on. There's a lot of...
Why are you watching?
There are videos of me getting a shot in my ass. I feel like you can get to know me at that point.
Yeah, I think Grant doesn't have a hard time being vulnerable at this point. Let's be real.
No, yeah, this is probably one of the most vulnerable podcasts we're ever going to have, because I'm going to talk about some industries that I think are up and coming, and if someone has the means, knowledge, or ability to beat me to it, then they beat me to it. But I need to do this for the website anyway, so it just kind of makes sense. Let's move into, I think, food packaging.
Food packaging is a good one, yeah.
Duff says, looks like I have some searching to do on YouTube. I don't know if you're looking for the videos of me with a shot in my ass, but that's the Glimpse of Grant episodes. There is a fourth one coming. But we are going to hold that at least for the time being, because it is hilarious, and I want us to get to a certain point before I release it. We pranked my doctor. You won't believe what happens. The clickbait is so bad. Actually, some of you know, but a lot of you don't, and I thought it was hilarious. But food packaging is one that we recently moved into, kind of, 3 years ago?
Yeah. That sounds about right.
And they found us. I had never considered this industry.
Sorry.
You're good. I've never considered this industry until this company found us. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay, this is actually a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, no, it's a very fun thing.
And I think that this whole pandemic situation showed food companies that your branding needs to extend beyond the doors of your restaurant. And yes, you can put ads on YouTube and all of that, but that doesn't do as good as putting it in the damn fridge or freezer or wherever you put the food. If people are ordering from DoorDash, Uber Eats, custom delivery, pick your poison, and it's the same generic, ugly, white styrofoam containers, it's all the same shit. And I don't know about you, at some point during all of this, I just kind of gained an apathy for food. It is there solely to keep me alive. And I'm going to go to my fridge, I'm going to grab the first white polystyrene box, styrofoam box in there, I'm going to open it. And if it's mine, I don't care what it is, I'm going to eat it. Now, if I went there with a desire to get a steak, like let's say I always use the Outback steak or the Chili's ribs, because those are two very separate restaurants that serve similar foods. If I wanted the Outback steak and I got the Chili's ribs, I'm going to be bummed. I might not go back for that Outback steak. If I ordered a bunch of food via Uber Eats to my house and they all came in the same containers, I'm just going to take whatever I get. And I know, like, Chili's, I think they use black containers and they have their name pressed on the top. But if I'm stacking containers, I can't see that. Now, if you've got a container that's got a clear side to it, I can see what's inside of it. Maybe there's some branding of a sticker, right? There was a story where an Uber Eats driver was caught eating McDonald's French fries for one of the people that they were delivering to. And so businesses started putting stickers, right? And initially they were generic stickers. Now it's become
just
a thing.
Little seal.
Right. It's like a quality seal. But what about, Tad, companies that have sauce or a container that's not like a prepackaged ketchup where, you can throw ketchup at the bottom of a bag. It is what it is. It's not going to touch anything. But what about like little sauce ramekins that some of them have a tendency to open, right? Like a heat sealed package of ketchup, you got to basically smack that thing with a hammer to get it to open up.
Oh yeah. Good luck, pulling that
Oh yeah,
apart.
and half the time when you go to open it, the whole damn thing goes out. Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
But companies that want to do custom sauces are going to put them in like these plastic to-go ramekins. And these ramekins a lot of times would be put in with the product. And if it's not in with the product, it's rattling around in the damn bag. Well, those lids can pop off, unfortunately, a little bit easier than most people want. And yes,
and then your bag is soaked full of sauce.
Oh, and nobody likes that. Then the to-go container itself is covered in the sauce. It looks like shit. It's gonna smell like shit in a couple of days. It doesn't work well. And then, of course, the presentation. When I get in, I'm opening the bag, the box, whatever. The bag is soggy, and it's not like if you go to Five Guys and you get Five Guys to go and the bag isn't soggy, you're wondering
then
what the hell's wrong, right? That's an
Yeah.
expectation. But they've created that expectation. That's their brand. When you go to a different restaurant, that's not their brand. And if you want to extend that brand of quality, of, good value, you don't want to do it by having a to-go container that opens, sauce containers that open. Let's say it's a hot food item and you don't have vent holes in your packaging. Like, Tad, what a ridiculous problem, right? We've seen this.
Yeah, we've designed them. Vent holes are important because otherwise the steam just stays in there. It condenses on the lid and just rains down on your food.
And nobody
Gets
wants
all soggy.
soggy food. Like, imagine a hamburger, right? A nice, good, proper burger that is left in a styrofoam container to its own devices.
All mushy.
That you're gonna pick up that burger, it's gonna feel like a wet kitchen sponge, and it is so bad. When you have the ability to make your own custom packaging, you don't have that problem. And you might say, well, I can go to Cintas or whoever it might be and get the generic ones, and they're cheap. Yep, they are.
But they're all the same.
But are you cheap? Exactly. That nice subtle pause. Thank you for understanding there was a subtle pause coming there, where there are no show notes for this episode.
Yeah.
I think that, and my brother, where the hell did he go out to eat that he just brought this home? I think it was a Texas Roadhouse. They have a container similar to the ones that we've been designing with the sauce holder in the lid. Because we've seen companies that went with, I'll just put the same stickers around the sauce.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that. It's a pain in the ass. So what companies are doing is they're fitting the sauce containers into the lids so that it can be on the outside, the sealing sticker that is already on it to seal it for quality freshness already exists and can go over the sauce, which keeps the sauce from flying out. We've done ones, where there's certain custom things for the restaurants. And even further, their branding can be all over, not just on the top. Like, traditionally, branding has only been on the top. Why not put it on the sides? Yeah.
It's going to be more visible anyway.
Now, I know it's been a problem for me ever since we started this industry. Do you find yourself, when you go out to eat and you're getting a to-go container, you're like,
I'm always like looking at it now. Yeah. No, now I'm, it's one of those things. Once you've been in an industry, you're like, now it's ruined forever. You got to be like always looking at the details, whether you like it or not.
And Amber started to catch on too. Like, we'll go out. She's like, it's bagasse.
Nah.
Oh my God, I know it's bagasse and it's terrible. I hate that I know this because of you. She said, but I also love that this is part of your passion. Bagasse, for those that don't know, it's the technical term for the paper containers. A lot of you know it as the Chipotle bowls. That is the byproduct of sugar, of like sugar cane. It's the husk. No, corn syrup. Excuse me, corn syrup. It's the corn husks. And the byproduct from making corn syrup and the sugar and everything that comes out of it. So that's a pretty cool way for you to utilize, new processes that are, recyclable. And to that point, we can 3D print in a lot of the same materials. We're seeing the advent of CPLA, straws and containers. CPLA
Mm-hmm.
is crystallized polylactic acid. You can't put hot stuff in it because it will melt
Mm-hmm.
and get soft, but it's great for like straws, right? Because it's fully compostable. It's biodegradable. I don't think it's allowed on your side of the country, Tad. I don't know if they allow them or not. I know California has effectively completely banned straws at this point, except the paper straws, and even that is kind of.
You can still get straws in Oregon, but they usually you have to ask for it.
Mhm.
And I still see paper straws and stuff being offered now too. So
I like the
yeah,
paper straws, but I do agree
I
with the
do.
people that don't like them. Yeah, if you leave it in your drink too long, they get soggy. Don't leave it in your drink too damn long.
They also make pasta straws now, which if you're not drinking something hot, they're not going to get moist.
It would be hilarious to serve like a Bloody Mary in a pasta straw.
Yeah. Well, because you to get it to become soft, you'd have to heat it up, so it's not gonna. It's
I
pretty
didn't
good.
think about this. It's like a big long piece of rotini or something.
Just a tube.
Bob says, "Boo paper straws. They have a bad lip feel." I didn't know we had Charles Boyle,
Yeah,
Boyle
got a connoisseur in here. Jeez.
of the mouth feel. I do have to
Yes.
agree. It does kind of stick. It's kind of
Yeah.
weird. Um, Zombie 5RE says, "I personally like the new grain based cutlery stuff." I
Hmm.
don't think we've experienced that yet. I've never seen grain based cutlery. Um, but I
It's
guess
usually
PLA
as far
should
as
be grain based ultimately, right? It's
I've
corn.
usually seen like PLA, but it's got fiber in it. Just like waste fiber from whatever grain or.
Is that
But it's basically serves as fiber
yeah,
reinforcement, so it's pretty good.
I was just about to ask that
Yeah,
if it serves as like, glass fiber reinforcement, but
kind
not.
of.
Bob
Yeah.
says, "Try a milkshake in a paper straw." Horrible. I like milkshakes so thick, the amount of C's would not fit on this video, and then I need to use a
Hmm.
spoon. I effectively want slightly melted ice cream.
Yes.
Jimmy says, "Paper straws are all over in Sweden. They get soggy before I'm done drinking every time, and we energy recycle everything combustible that's not recycled another way." So that's kind of cool.
Hmm.
Sweden specifically, it kind of leads the way. That whole region of the EU. Is Sweden in the EU? I think they are.
Yeah.
It's gonna be bad if they're not, but they really do lead the charge in sustainability. I understand the whole paper straw problem. I don't have a better solution, so I kind of gotta bow out. But I do like the idea of using fiber, like husk fiber, as a
Yeah.
reinforcement.
It's pretty ingenious, right?
I would love to see personally the ones that are like a fiber reinforced compostable biodegradable plastic but with seeds in it, like
Hmm.
wildflower seeds. So if you
Also,
are a littering piece of shit,
it'll go
you're
there.
actually not littering. You're helping the environment. That would be kind of cool.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. Sweden is in the EU. Norway is not.
Is it really not? Oh,
According to someone that lives in Sweden, which I'm gonna go ahead and go with, he knows more about that than we do. And Jimmy is also one of our patrons. Thanks for being a patron, Jimmy. We appreciate your patronage. Um, Zombie Fiery says, it has the same feel as wooden cutlery, but you can eat it afterwards.
that
Okay, that would
sounds
be
like
kind of cool if I could have cutlery that I could eat when I'm done with it, like
yeah.
like a waffle cone, but a fork. Or a
There you go.
spoon. A waffle cone is a spoon. I don't know though, because like there's a lot of brittleness involved in that.
I think you could design it in a way that makes it more robust, but
You could, yes, I could not. No,
I just put ribs on it.
that's fair. I mean, ribbing, buttresses, and all of that add to lots of stability and strength. Uh,
Yeah.
oh God. Okay, so they're grain. Okay, so the grain ones are not PLA. It's
Oh, they're not.
no, it is. It feels like wooden cutlery, but you can eat it. So is
Hmm.
it like really stale bread that you're turning
Like
into
a
like a
cracker?
prison shiv? I mean,
It's a cracker, basically.
that's really cool. I would
Yeah.
love to see that happen in the United States. Um, Especially if I'm like the first person that knows about it. So I can
Yeah.
go around in public and eat a spoon and just really screw with people for the sole purpose of messing with people, right?
Hmm.
Uh, okay, that's cool. I
It
that
is
is
like a
pretty darn cool.
cracker. It
Huh?
really is. I'm looking at a picture of one now. It really is basically like a cracker. It's a very,
Sponsored by Saltine.
yeah,
But
it's just like wheat flour.
oh, it's like hard compressed wheat flour.
It's like, yeah, like just they press it really hard.
Huh.
So unleavened graham cracker, basically. That's
Okay, that's
amazing.
cool.
No, I
That's
actually really
cool.
like that.
Could you
You
do that
know?
for a straw? Because I know one of the big things in the states
Mm,
is the straw is the big problem, and the companies that we've been working with have
mm.
really been pushing these CPLA straws.
That would be probably harder because it would have to have the mold would have to have a core,
I mean, it
you
does for
know.
CPLA. Oh no, for plastic straws, it's an
It's
extrusion, right?
extruded.
Yeah.
You couldn't extrude this stuff and have it like stick together.
There
It
have to
needs
be
to be under pressure.
some sort of biodegradable binder or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
and I don't think these are. I don't think that it doesn't look like it would flow. Um,
Right? Yeah, it's gonna be really, really viscous if it
so
flows
you
at
go
all.
put it in a mold like that, but not like injectable.
Right. Oh, let's see.
Mm,
Learning something new every day. And I laugh because in my office, I've got a small collection of food packaging products from the clients that we work with because they will send us things and say, okay, this is what we currently have. We need you to
mhm.
make these modifications. And we can do that. We can take your existing line items that you make all the time and add some awesomeness to them, right? We can make them a little more sexy. And yes, that is going to increase their cost to the consumer.
Yeah.
And salespeople, hi. I too am kind of a salesperson. I kid you not. We took a company from an 18-month estimated sales cycle to 4.5 months for a multi-million dollar sale. Why? Because they didn't have to wait constantly for samples back and forth from China, right? These companies a lot of times own their own facilities in China. We do it all in-house in the States. I can overnight it to you. If you're local, you can send an Uber or we can meet up. Probably send an Uber. I don't leave here very often, but courier services exist. And that means you can get things for your customer faster. And those problem customers, and I know you have them. Everybody's got
Hmm.
problem customers. You can solve their very particular problems with particular solutions utilizing awesome technology. I see a lot of value in that, especially when it's like a brand. You know, you look at some of these bigger brands, right? Chick-fil-A, Popeyes, who else competed in the chicken sandwich game?
Popeyes,
When didn't Wendy's do it?
Chick-fil-A, Wendy's has, yeah. Well, and now McDonald's has a chicken sandwich.
They
Like
all did
they're,
it, right?
yeah.
And when we saw their branding, they all kind of did the same thing. They all went with those paper boxes that Chick-fil-A
Hmm.
uses because they want you to believe that it's the same style product. It ultimately comes down to what chicken you like the best. It's not who makes the best chicken sandwich, who makes the best batter for their chicken. We all
Yeah.
kind of knew this answer. And some people believe others. But this whole idea of that custom packaging, you all decided to basically copy Chick-fil-A rather than standing out. And if your presentation, if I look at your product and say, wow, this is a really. No, it was Moe's. I remember it was Moe's that he went to. It wasn't Texas Roadhouse. It was Moe's that my brother went to.
Hmm.
Moe's has the containers because they do salsa and they do guac and they do queso. And their lid fits the small size of all of those things. That's why I was trying to remember the brand. Moe's always used the foil containers with the clear plastic lids that you would have to pinch the edges. That's what they
Hmm.
always used. They now upgraded their packaging. I said, shit, that's really good packaging. And when you have that instance of this is a nice unboxing experience, you end up with a customer that has a higher expectation for your product, which is good. Jimmy says there's a big paper company in Sweden, Sorta Enzo. No clue. They have R&D in everything coming from the forest. And I know from speaking to the guys working in R&D that they are looking into 3D printing paper. And Zombie5RE says here in the UK, it's KFC or nothing for chicken. That's fair. KFC did have a chicken sandwich as well.
Didn't they have the chicken sandwich where it was like the bread was chicken?
I think they did. Yeah,
which is like
the bread was 2 pieces of bread and chicken.
That seems a little excessive to me.
That's the American way. I believe that, like, I haven't had Moe's in a long time, right? We used to eat Moe's all the time because when we first opened in a shopping mall, there was a Moe's like 2 doors down from us, and Moe's Monday was cheap. I could get 2 or 3 meals out of it. Made a meal worth, $2 to $3. That's a cheap meal, especially as a business owner. And the food was consistent. It wasn't consistently amazing, but it was consistent. And with that better packaging, I'm like, I'm going to give them another shot. I found myself falling victim to this, and you know what? I walked in there the other day. They've changed. Their branding is different. The food looks better. It's on display better. And it tasted better.
It's good that they've evolved over time then.
They went for that rebrand because Moe's kind of initially played themselves off as the American Tex-Mex, and now they're moving more toward traditional, faster food, but still with, some of those roots existing. We look at a company like Checkers, and Checkers is a customer of ours. We have worked directly with Checkers Corporate. It is not a hidden thing. We should probably post those. I'm going to use those photos on the website now that I'm thinking about it. We did a miniature Checkers, and apparently Moe's in Florida versus Moe's in Oregon are 2 different things.
Probably.
What's Moe's like in Oregon?
I don't know. I didn't even know it existed here. Moe's in Oregon.
How far are you from Portland again?
Like 20 miles or less.
You and Bob probably live quite close to each other.
So there's a Moe's Seafood and Chowder.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's not what Moe's is in Florida. Moe's is like Tex-Mex.
Let me see here. There's another, and then there's Moe's Restaurant, which is different. But let me see what.
Do they scream "Welcome to Moe's" when you walk in?
I don't know. This is all seafood. Completely different thing.
Oh, it's seafood. And apparently in the UK, Moe's is even more different because it does not exist. Well, that would be different. Well, see, there's a franchising opportunity for you there, Zombie5RE. Oh, apparently they make great chowder. So, if you're looking for chowder,
there you go.
Get good chowder from there.
I was going to say, that's the thing around here. Though there is a lot of Mexican food.
Well, Florida,
I would say
it's Cuban.
Oh, yeah. Well, that Cuban food is good, too. Yeah, Oregon is interesting. It's a very ethnically diverse place, at least in Western Oregon. I don't know about Eastern Oregon is probably like militia country, so just like anywhere else rural. But yeah, like I would say probably the biggest like ethnic groups around here are like obviously Asian, Hawaiian. Interestingly enough, there's a huge Hawaiian population here, and then Mexican, obviously. Which is another weird one. I'm like, there seem to be like more Mexican people here than California almost. I don't know.
Hey, it makes for good culture.
And the food is so good.
And see, it's what's a bummer to me is like the mom and pop shops that objectively have some of the best food. There's a sandwich shop here in Tampa. If you speak English in there, they will not understand you. You must speak Spanish. They make some of the best damn sandwiches I have ever had. Truly one of the best Cuban sandwiches I've ever had, but that is not my favorite. It is a grandmother, mom, father, and son that run the business, right? So it's multi-generation. It's grandma's special. I don't know what the hell is in it. I don't ask what the hell is in it. They gave it to me one day and told me to try it. Oh my God, was it amazing. but their packaging sucks. It sucks. Some of the delis locally have adopted we're going to wrap it in butcher paper, throw it in a white paper bag, and send it. The deli that I go to when I hang out at a clock shop because I like old clocks. There's a deli over there, and they just started using a stamp to stamp the white paper bags. They got
that's at least a little.
Huh?
That's at least a little more special,
That to me is like, oh, cool. And so when I put that white paper bag in my fridge next to Moe's used to have white paper bags. If I put the 2 white paper bags in my fridge, other than the fact that the dimensions of the bags might be a little bit different, I don't know whose is who.
Mm-hmm.
Now with their stamp on it, how I'm going to know that's the Forest Hills Deli Cuban. And it's a okay Cuban. It's not bad. It's a good Cuban for the money. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to get one when I go down there tomorrow because USF has a botanical garden festival tomorrow. And of course, that means Amber is maxing out her limit for the ATM. We're taking a cart and she's going to go buy a bunch of plants. It's Amber's favorite hobby is plants. Yes, Zombie5RE says, here in the UK, fish and chips is huge. I'd say 90% use paper wrapping. I reckon you might have a great potential market there. We would if it wasn't for the couple thousand miles of ocean in between us, which would be difficult to get the prototypes back and forth. Because a lot of times when you're dealing with executives, company executives, like if you're working with a Chick-fil-A, right? Chick-fil-A executives may not understand CAD. And they'll look at it and say, I don't know what's going on here. It's no offense to you, but I don't understand it. And they want to have that physical thing. When you put that into their hand, and they can literally take the 3D print, they can put food in it, and it's called product, right? You put the product in it. You can see how the product is presented in the prototype, and unfortunately you throw the product out because it's not food safe. It gives you an idea of what the customer is going to see, right?
Yeah.
One thing,
and that has a great psychological impact, you know.
God, yeah.
When your prototype very closely resembles your final product.
And that's what we can do here with 3D printing. We can get pretty damn close. We're not going to get the same optical clarity, but you're going to make your lids out of polypropylene. We're going to make them out of PETG, which is similar enough in the way that it presents itself. We can print in polypropylene. Most people don't want to pay for it because it's a terrible material to 3D print. It hates everything. It hates bed surface. It even hates itself. It doesn't like sticking to itself. But it is possible. And then, of course, we can do PLA. So when we do bagasse, I'm sorry, Miss Kitty, I have to reach over you. When we do the bagasse containers, we end up making those out of PLA. And while it's not the same, clearly, it is a good enough amalgamation of the real material.
Yeah.
And we find that this can decrease your sales cycles. Look, this past couple of years have been tough for everybody. And food service businesses are, if anything, one of the hardest hit, right? They had to improvise, adapt, and overcome. And those that have survived understand the value of branding. And if you can extend that branding from your refrigerator, from the doors of your restaurant to the refrigerator of your client, and even in the Uber driver or the DoorDash driver, Instacart, I don't care, in the delivery driver, that branding keeps going, right? It's common that you need well over 10 touch points to get someone to understand your brand. A lot of companies utilize the signage outside that you drive by, but more of it needs to be when you get the food and you take it home, right? I love doing food packaging because it lets us kind of play in that level that not many other people play in, right? Because it's really, really weird stuff. And it's like, you want to do this? All right, let's figure it out together.
Well, it's very fun to to design,
There's a story. And it's the same with inventing. There's a story. And that story matters so much. So much to the end product. If we know look, they're just trying to get something different. I
Yeah.
want to know about their company. If I can get that food product locally, like let's say it's a company that I can go to and get a meal from them, I can understand who they are as a brand. Tad can understand it. Some of our other staff can understand it. A great example is the Publix trophy that we finished. It was back in
That
July.
was cool.
Now we can finally be public about it. God, the jokes there are terrible, but we all know Publix here in Florida. And the staff are like, we're going to need a sample of what their subs look like. I said, I know what their subs look like, but I never get a generic Publix sub or a pub sub.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, all right, this will be one of the most interesting write-offs we have of the year. Let's all go to Publix. They gave us the exact sub they wanted us to reference it off of. It was a turkey sub with yellow American cheese, tomatoes, salt, pepper on a 5-grain bun. So that's what we all got. And we had them cut it the way they wanted us to design it. So we could literally look at the sandwich as we were designing, and it really helped that design process. So if we can get into the heads of...
It really helps.
And it's not your client, right? So we don't need to talk to the Publixes or the Chick-fil-A's. We talk to the companies that are the in-between. But if you want us to, we're happy to. Because getting in the head of the people that are saying, I just want this. Anytime someone says the word just in a design, we know it's going to
usually going to be more than that.
It's going to be more than that. Because
more involved.
Just is an adjective that is used, in my opinion, when someone doesn't know exactly what they're trying to say, and they're hoping that by utilizing it, they can kind of steer it in the right direction. We've worked with enough companies that if your client happens to be picky and they don't know what they want, we can talk to you to educate you on what's possible, or we can just talk with them directly. And sometimes, if timing works out well, we even do live designs where we'll share our screen and we can design it right then and there with the people at power, the ones that make those decisions, that sign those big number checks that get you guys the money and commission that you deserve, right? Shorten your sales cycle, get more money, get more return business, and become a powerhouse in your industry with 3D Musketeers, right? I mean, come on.
Yes.
That's gotta be the tagline there, right?
Yeah. So just to circle back, I'm trying to remember where we started for this whole discussion. So we covered inventors, I think.
Yep.
So let's see, what was another industry that we've worked in?
Oh,
packaging.
personal injury attorneys.
Yeah, that's one to talk about too.
Nothing to do with food packaging.
No.
But one thing real quick before we move on to the next topic is Zombie5RE says, for example, Domino's pizza franchise, I think it's the same all over, is known for its packaging. Everything is within the pizza box, no extra tubs for sauce or anything.
And their boxes are quite distinctive.
Bob says this infomercial is brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends. Bob, I was very honest in the beginning saying that I am going to cut this up for use as marketing for the company, but I think it's a really cool way for people to understand what we do and how we do it. So I was honest the entire time, okay? Right? I have to get those little snippets so that we can cut it up and use it. Right? I'm sorry. Yeah. It's more fun when I can do it with other people that are going to make fun of me and make fun of it being a Raid Shadow Legends commercial. Is that when you've hit it as a YouTuber, by the way? When
you're starting to do that? Yeah, that's usually a good sign. You know.
Let's move on to injuries, right? A lot of you know that I'm injured. And a lot of you have seen the live stream where I failed horribly to pull out the data that I needed. This is why we have engineers and why Grant should probably do more research before live streams. It's also why Grant doesn't do live streams much anymore, because it's kind of embarrassing to me to fail on live like that. But if you are an attorney or you're an insurance company, I like the insurance company side of this a whole lot better.
Yeah.
People in the United States sue for the dumbest reasons. Attorneys know this. Insurance companies know this. People know this. We all know it. The United States
We know.
is so crazy. Everybody wants that quick payday. How do you protect yourself, or how do you defend your client, right?
Mm-hmm.
If anything, the past couple of decades of court has shown us is that you don't have to be right to be right. I think a lot of people...
You just have to have... yeah, exactly. Whether you're actually right or not doesn't matter. It's whether you can prove it.
Well, it's not even about proof. It's about getting an emotional response from a jury or from the people on the other side of the bench. I think the O.J. Simpson case is probably the one that, to me, has the most examples of this, right?
Yeah.
If the glove does not fit, you must acquit.
Must acquit.
Sincerely, one of the most impactful lines that have ever been put out by an attorney ever.
Yes. Memorable. But not even remotely like, well, just, yeah, no.
It was irrelevant to the case.
Exactly. But the argument convinced the jury.
Right. And,
which is all that matters.
You know, they always say a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Mm.
If I can put a model, if we can put a model of what that looks like, of what that picture is showing you, in the hands of people that determine how much money you spend or get, depending on what side of the thing you're on, don't you believe there's value to that?
Yeah. That is where, data, laser scans, just little extra evidentiary things come into play.
I love doing crash cars. It is so much fun. It's unfortunate because there's not a lot of CAD involved in it. It's just basically scan, print.
Right.
The scan is complicated. There's a lot that goes into that. You have to use relatively high-end 3D scanners because, while you don't necessarily need metrology-grade scanning, because you are going to shrink it quite a bit, it can't look like, the Michelin Man ran into your car and somehow fused with it, right? You have to be able to pick up those details. And that's important because that can tell a story. Pictures can only tell so much. If I can show this car, and a good example, and it's going to be on the website because it's now no longer under NDA. We had a car crash that we dealt with, which was a Hyundai Tiburon. And the individual in the rear passenger seat lost part of his arm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a Hyundai Tiburon is a two-door sports car for its era, which generally means the rear windows don't go down. They don't. In a Hyundai Tiburon, the rear windows do not move. They are stationary. At the scene of the accident, the only broken glass that was found was on the driver's side of the vehicle, where the fire department broke the window to extract the driver.
Mm-hmm.
There was broken glass from the windshield, but that's a laminated glass instead of tempered glass. Tempered glass tends to just explode, more or less. Laminated glass stays together. It's messed up, but it stays together. The insurance company is the one that ended up working with us, and they crashed 5 more cars.
Just to prove it.
Just to figure out if what occurred is actually even physically possible. They did one at half speed, one at double speed, and the other ones at the exact same speed. In none of those crashes did that rear window break. But in the car that crashed, their rear window is missing.
Mm-hmm.
The assumption from the insurance company was that, that window was never there. The attorney argued and said it was. The accident scene was cleaned up. Now, we don't get to know the outcome of these cases. I just get to know the stories of them. We don't follow them because I don't know the names of the people involved in them. That's not my job.
We just contribute.
But I said, that's a hell of a story. Like, that's a hell of a story. Where, I mean, the guy his life is different, right? And this is not like, this was not like a medical amputation. This was a hard, this is not clean, okay?
This is,
it ended up being clean, but it was not an initial clean.
In the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, when the car takes your arm off, it's not usually pretty.
Yeah, I'm not gonna call that a nice clean cut.
Yeah, no.
And in that case, I'm like, wow. As a member of a jury, if I was a member of a jury for that, that's an impactful thing to show. Those
Yeah.
cars side by side by side by side by side, all in different colors. We did them all in different colors. We used to do these vehicles in full color, but with how bad some of these wrecks can be,
You don't really want that.
yeah, there's sometimes people parts in cars that
Bits.
it while it does help an emotional response, it's not generally one that's positive, right?
No.
So the single color models are generally best. They're also significantly more affordable, and you can huck them across the room and they're generally not going to break. Whereas a full color model, if you look at it the wrong way, tends to just pop off into a low Earth orbit. But that is so impactful to me to say, look, these were all the same car, the same year, the same engine, everything. We even put, crash test dummies and weights in them to do our best to simulate this as much as possible. And we could not recreate what you are telling me is possible. Are you going to believe the science, or are you going to believe the guy that's sitting there saying, woe is me?
Yeah.
Now, I would normally say you're going to believe the science, but the past 2 years in this country have
shown
led me to
that that's
believe
not
that
true.
may not be the case. Yeah.
That doesn't count for what it should.
But I'd like to believe that the science, on top of having a forensic engineer in there to show these models, to talk about it, presented a lower risk case scenario in that particular instance, or in other situations, a higher dollar value to it. Right? It's kind of a known thing that under certain values, insurance companies are just going to write you a check. They don't care. It's not worth fighting it. This is why they collect premiums, right?
Yeah.
But after that certain amount, they're going to spend some lawyer time on it. They're going to spend some cash on it. And then they still end up might end up paying out. If we can lower that threshold from, let's say it's 150 grand, and we lower it to 100 grand because we're able to provide them with these models that they know they can intimidate the other people with to get them to accept a settlement offer rather than going to court, that's money in the bank. And yes, there's some cost involved in this, right? Crash vehicles start at about $5,000. So there is some cost involved in this, but it generally is significantly less
than the payout.
And if it's not significantly less than the payout, then you're probably not utilizing it very well. Right.
Right.
Or the other side has a bulletproof case and you didn't see it coming. And there's nothing that any of us can do to stop that.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just cool to me because, it's easy to practice on cars. You just go to a junkyard and just practice on cars. They're a lot more difficult to scan than most people think, right? A brand new car is tough to scan because it's shiny. A crash car is tough to scan because it's crumpled, right? Try to scan a ball of tinfoil that's been dulled out, right? You're not going to get all those little facets, so the scans are very, very complicated. Now, the nice thing is in these cases, you get really high res where all the damage is. Then the rest of the car is kind of the rest of the car, right? If it's not all that accurate, it's not that big of a deal. You're not putting micrometers and measuring things, at least for what our purpose is. The forensic engineers might, but we don't, right? We are not there to tell you how the crash occurred. We're there to show you what was the result of it. And we can also show the results of the injuries. Tad, were you with us when we did some of those muscle-related injuries?
I think so. I don't think I worked on them personally, though.
Well, there's generally not much that's need to be done. You can pull it all out of a digital program. But sometimes there is okay, we need to clean this up a little bit for the actual print. But yeah, even hard failures like bone breaks, muscles, tendons, discs, like the discs that I have herniated in my back. I printed my spine just because I thought it would be fun. And because I now have the data. I went through the spinal tap. I'm gonna do the fun for it that I can do on my side. And it's really cool. I'm still working on a good model of it. It's not like in my purview of things I need to immediately do.
Yeah.
But it is something I want to be able to hold my spine one day. I think it would be cool. But yeah, we want to be able to help the people that need it, and be able to help them get that emotional response. And whether it's a big middle finger from the other side as they're signing the check, or it's a jury of your peers that understand the trauma that you just went through, or vice versa. That's where I believe we can be of value there. And I don't know. I find those to be some of the most fun because the stories attached to them.
Right. It's
Like,
always interesting to work on.
don't get me wrong, inventors are a lot of fun, and food packaging is a lot of fun too.
Mm-hmm.
But they're a lot of fun for a long, like 2 or 3 months. These cars are like 2 weeks we have them for. So it's like, whoa, let's see all the other things that went wrong with this. Let's go scan the car. Let's make sure we got all the angles.
Mm-hmm.
It's rough. It's like, all of a sudden we have to be like Instagram models to make sure we get all the angles of the car. And I'm thankful that we can rent better scanners than we have, because there are some cases where we need to use way better scanners than we have, and they cost money, of course. But as we move into this more heavily, we're going to be getting those big scanners. So you're talking sub 1 millimeter accuracy at 10 meters away.
That's a long way.
Uh-huh.
That's like for like area mapping.
Uh-huh.
Jeez. That's some good stuff.
Yeah. Now, the scanner is only good to up to 15 meters, but it claims sub 1 millimeter accuracy to 10 meters. It's made by Surphaser.
Surphaser.
Surphaser, I think.
They
are...
Oh, that's clever.
They are right on the 6-digit mark. I mean, so they are incredibly expensive. But we want to be able to push the boundaries of what is possible right now for this, because if the higher quality model you have, the less arguing you get as to the validity of the model from the other side. Right. And attorneys are just fun to work with. I have a buddy I went to college with. His name is Kevin. His whole thing is #CallKevin, right? And it works. I mean, and congratulations, Kevin, if you're watching this. I should send it to him. Congratulations. His wife just delivered their Kevin the third. Healthy baby boy, and he's a dad now. And yeah, Kevin to me is the example of what it means to truly be a lawyer, right? He worked his ass off. That kid was never not working. And he is reaping what he sowed. I am so proud of him for getting to a point where, he's working for big firms doing big jobs. And I just think it's interesting, right? Just from a layman's perspective, I think it's crazy freaking interesting for what's actually possible out there. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. The personal injury side is kind of, I don't know, odd.
Yeah, it's an interesting application.
Because it's very specific. And it covers a very specific use case scenario. Whereas the other ones, like food packaging, is specific, but the way that it's utilized is very broad. I think that there can be broad utilizations here. But I guess I don't see it. The guys from Interstellar will come back to Kevin the 15th. Probably. Yeah. We used to do architecture. We liked that, but VR's kind of taken over for architecture. Aerospace, I just don't want to keep competing. Like, we can't compete with GE, right?
Yeah, that's true.
We just can't. Like, the only way we can compete with GE is on price. Automotive, basically everybody's brought that in-house at this point. Companies like Rimac and Rivian and some of the others don't have all they need in-house, but they're doing a lot of generative design, which is really cool. I got to talk to talked to somebody who works with Remok. This was a couple of weeks ago, about 3D printing they do there. And they said, yeah, I wish I could show you what we do, because it is absolutely amazing. And there were some photos, if I remember, I'll put them in the description, of a automobile that was at a recent 3D printing event, and I forget the name of the event too. I guess I can look it up real quick. That the entire brakes section of the car was all generative designed.
Oh,
yeah.
You get some interesting looking results from those.
You do. Yeah. Let's see. I have the photos. I don't have the company, but like, the brake calipers look like they're melting over the carbon ceramic brake. It's pretty cool.
Well, I've seen one where it was like a bracket, just like a cantilever bracket for something, and instead of being like a triangular piece of metal, it was like this. It looked like roots or something, because the computer will take the strain, what's it called? Finite element analysis.
FEA.
FEA. I was going to say FDM. That's a different thing. The strain FEA look at that and say, okay, well, you want it to go like this, and just follows the lines of that, and it'll look wild.
Yeah,
it looks very organic and weird.
I would love to get more into this generative design thing, just because I can.
Yes.
For no, I don't think I've got a business case for it just yet. But it's like the same reason why I want to learn end topology. It's because I can. And if anyone has connections at NTOP, I want a copy. I can't afford it. NTOP is one of those companies that does not tell you the price of their software. And I know if I have to ask, I can't afford it.
Yeah. Usually no.
Yeah.
That's when stuff starts to look like bones, Well,
which makes sense, right?
Because it's basically generative. It's designed just organic.
Humans have
over
had
a very long period of time.
A few million years to generative design.
Get to this point, yeah.
Millions of iterations.
Yes.
Trillions, I would guess, right? You figure every time a new baby is born, there's something slightly different every single time. Zombie5RE says they've been using generative design for a while. It's very fun to play with, but takes like 5 hours for Autodesk to send the results.
Yeah, it's going to take a while.
I know.
Gotta let the numbers crunch.
SolidWorks, you can do it natively on the desktop, right?
I think Fusion can as well.
It can? I thought they only use cloud for that. Huh.
Oh, let's see. Fusion 360.
I mean, certainly my computer's not going to do very good at it.
Let's see.
For those that don't know, it took me almost 6 hours to film the Friday video. I had to film it 4 separate times. I'm going to tell the whole story on Patreon, assuming the Patreon members want to hear it. Yeah, generative design is cool. Tom did some videos on it where he did the shelf bracket with generative design, and I'm like, this shit is cool. Natively, it would make my potato of a laptop blow up. Yeah, I think my potato of a computer would blow up too. That's Mad Monkey says he is generative design, and that's actually not technically wrong. Mad Monkey has a leg made of carbon fiber and titanium.
Ah, yes.
He also has one of those the running blades, which he showed us.
That's so cool.
We were going to have Mad Monkey on this week. However, he is in Canada, and it is Thanksgiving. I think today is Canadian Thanksgiving. So he wanted to spend time with family rather than spending
God
time
forbid.
with us. But I see him. I see him. Okay, Tom's bracket was topology optimized, not generative design. Jimmy says, of course we want to hear it. Well, Jimmy, I'm trying to get more people to support us on Patreon, damn it.
Yeah.
Facts Monday. Oh, it's Monday. Okay. Oh, I guess that makes sense. And then Indigenous People Day or Columbus Day is Monday for us. I only found that out because they talked about it last night.
Well, it just became that. I think I don't think it was until recently.
Thanksgiving weekend, he's doing some CAD stuff now. We're going to have Mad Monkey on in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to have Janet Carr come on as well. And I'll give you guys a Monday's video is going to be all about matter control. So the video that we did on matter control got some press, I guess. The CEO of Matter Hackers commented on it. And I saw the comment. I'm like, shit, how blackball did I just do that now? And he said that, they're fixing this problem.
Yeah.
The problem was that it auto opted into data collection. And he said they're going to explain how it works in their next iteration. So I'm going to give Matter Control a second look, but try to make it a first look, right? To give it a second chance, the chance that talking to the CEO, I think it deserves. They are not paying us to do it, although it wouldn't hurt if they wanted to. But yeah, that's going to be Monday's video. Wednesday's video is already filmed. It is actually, the Wednesday video for the next 2 weeks is already filmed. It is going to be the maintenance for an Ender 3 or a Prusa Mini. I don't know which one's going to be coming out.
That should be pretty cool.
Yeah. We just did the MK3S one, and it's actually doing pretty well. So we're going to do that. Then we're going to do resin printer maintenance will be the next one that I do. Which is great, considering I have resin printers that I've never printed on. Like, I have an Elegoo Mars still in the box. So I can
That would be good to try.
Huh?
That would be good to try.
Well, I can show the differences. I don't have a lot of 3D printers that I've never printed on. I have spare resin printers because they're so bloody cheap. It doesn't make sense to not have a spare.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can show things like, lubricating axes, checking the screen. And I have a Mars with a bad screen, so I can show what a bad screen looks like and all of these different things. So that's going to be a cool video as well. So we're doing some more series-based videos that make it easier for us to produce the content. So we're not like running hard. But we might change it up if the news breaks and there's something really cool coming out. We will always push videos away to do awesome stuff. Zombie5RE says, I wish I had that issue. Zombie5RE, I have 32 3D printers, and more are likely on the way. It is an interesting problem, but it is a business, right? There's a difference between a business and a hobby. And precursor to what's going to be one of the time lapses. Dracula is going to be a time lapse maybe this week.
Ooh.
I have some insider information.
That's a nice color. What is that?
It's a Dracula.
No. What's the color? That's really nice.
That is deep purple. A little smoke on the water for you.
Yeah.
From Printed Solids. That's Jesse PLA. Yeah, it's Jesse.
That's good.
We do their monthly subscription box. It's 2 rolls, 2 kilos of filament, some stickers, a little Airhead candy, $35 delivered. And since we're doing more of these time lapses and stuff, having different colors is useful. $35 for 2 kilos of Made in America filament. That ain't a bad deal. But I do want to start testing some filaments. I don't want to do a Filaween, but I do want to start testing filaments. But yeah, I think that's really all I got. I know a lot of the other industries that we've played in are kind of minor. We're not really pushing into them too far. And I think these ones all can benefit from CAD. They can all benefit from cool people. And they can all benefit, everybody. Like, who doesn't go out to eat every now and then and get a to-go container, right?
Yeah.
Zombie5RE says, I'm so jealous of people in the U.S. We don't have anything like Jesse around here. Zombie5RE lives in the UK, for those that don't know. And you're right, you don't. You do, however, have Prusa. You have Prusa in the Czech Republic. Prusa Mint should be reasonable to get to you. But I don't know with Brexit and how all that shit's working with import taxes, VAT, and what that looks like. So I'm not
probably still cheaper than getting from America.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's gotta be.
I'm gonna learn about what it costs because I have to ship some things to Fotis Mint. I have to ship some things to Jimmy. And yeah, I got to ship them stickers. So I got to see what international shipping looks like for that. 20-pound shipping from Peru. So I can ship it to the United States for cheaper. Jeez. Yeah, Brexit's going to be rough until everything gets its feet, planted in where they need to be. But yeah, I know, Tad, you had a bit of a time limit. I have a bit of a time limit. I think we're good, dude. I think we kind of covered everything we needed to cover.
I think we ended up covering all three topics, even though it wended its way through various subjects, but all good.
That's how it goes, though, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to have a script for these. It's way more fun if we don't. Now, I might choose to re-record it with a script, but
we'll end up in interesting places.
Yeah. Well, hey, I appreciate everyone coming out, hanging out. If you haven't liked the stream, please do. Yeah, this was a fun one. Thank you all. Tad, thank you. It's been great.
Thank you.
I'm so glad. Hopefully, we're going to see you around more often.
I hope so.
We'll have to talk about that off stream because I don't know how the new job is working out for you. So I'll have to talk about that off stream at some point. But yeah, it's cool. It feels like our old team is coming back, right? Brent came back yesterday. Like, I was working on the website in one of our chats, and Brent just joined in. I'm like, whoa!
Long time no see.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm
Did he have his
so
accordion?
glad you're actually alive. Huh?
Was he playing his accordion?
He did play it a little bit, yeah.
Yes. Very nice.
Yeah. Anyways, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. This has been Making Awesome Season 2, Episode 5. I'm Grant. We got Tad. We had some fun. We hope you did too. We hope you learned something. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. Please don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, keep making awesome. Have a good one.
See ya.